2013 statistic question. It was quite long, 75 marks. A lot of information going on. Go Fast Airlines provides internal flights in Ireland, short haul flights to Europe, and long haul flights to America and Asia. 4 different things here. On the long haul flights, they sell economy, business, and executive. All passengers have an allowance and must pay a cost per kilo for any weight over the allowance. Each month the company carries out a survey of 1,000 passengers, and some of the results are shown for May here. So we go on by gender, have they previously flown, would they fly again, their age, the spend on in-flight facilities, was the flight delayed, passenger satisfaction. And then question A, part 1 is Go Fast Airlines used a stratified random sample to conduct the survey. Explain what is meant by stratified random sample. So a stratified random sample is where a population is divided into subgroups, and these subgroups are called strata, which is where the word comes from. And each of these stratas have something in common. It could be income or education and attainment. Random samples are drawn then from each subgroup according to their proportion of the population, is the exact wording on the marking scheme for this question. It allows researchers to obtain a sample population that best represents the entire population being studied. It also involves dividing the entire population into these homogeneous groups called strata, and it differs from simple random sampling, which involves random sample selection from the whole population. So it's just a little bit of information on stratified random sample. The State Examination Commission seem to have gotten away from these worded questions, so not ones that are loved by a lot of people that love maths. Part 2, you'll be delighted to know you're asked to write down 4 passenger groups that the company might have included in their sample. So like sometimes these questions can be quite ridiculous, and the 4 groups that they have, well, there's so many. There's internal to Ireland, short haul to Europe, long haul to America, long haul Asia, and so on. So they just want these 4 passenger groups from the information that was given up here. A lot of people would have answered maybe by age or by some sort of identifier that wasn't in the question. What's the probability that a passenger selected at random has his flight delayed and was not satisfied? So flight delayed and not satisfied. Flight delayed, not satisfied. Down the bottom here. What's the flight delayed? And this is just the probability. So flight delayed, yes, 231 out of 1,000. Not satisfied with overall service, 238 out of 1,000. An employee suggests, another word question, that the probability of selecting a passenger whose flight was delayed and was not satisfied should be equal to the product of the 2 probabilities in one above. Do you agree with the employee? Well, these are independent events. The probability of A by the probability of B being equal to the intersection of the 2. Now, the probability of these 2 being delayed and not satisfied. So are these events independent? I would say no. I would not agree with the employee, as these events are not independent. More opinion-based questions. Which of the graphs do you think is most likely to represent the distribution of the weight of passenger baggage? Now, the first one is a normal distribution, so half and half. Some people with small amount of weight, normal distribution. The second one we have kind of here to here. We have a lot of people within this range, just before 20. Very few with more than 20. This is everybody with more than 20, so no. Do you think this amount of people would not go to their max baggage? I don't think so. So we're going to go for number 2 here. Number 2, very few people over 20 kg. Part D, you're asked to draw a sketch of the possible distribution of the ages of the passengers based on the data in the survey. Okay, sketch of the possible distribution of the ages. Let's have a look at the ages. What are we told about the ages here? So what we're told about ages is the mean is 42 and the median is 31. So when the mean is greater than the median, we have a graph that skews to the right. I'll try and do a better version of that. It looks like this, more data to the left than the tail off to the right. So we'd have our mean and our median back a bit from the mean. So that's a sketch of the graph, just it's a skew right, skew left if the opposite happens, if they switch places. So with the normal distribution they're all exactly in the middle, and then learn what happens when the mean goes right and the mean goes left. And this is probably a better sketch of it along here where we have age down the bottom. The company repeatedly asserts that 70% of their customers are satisfied with their overall services. Use a hypothesis test to decide whether there's sufficient evidence to conclude that their claim is valid. So my hypothesis test, H0, 70% are satisfied, and H1, 70% not satisfied. So let's have a look at our numbers here. So how many are satisfied? Let's just go back and see how many are satisfied. So here's my satisfied, 0.664 are satisfied, and the company are claiming it's 0.7. Now we don't have standard deviation or any of that to go on here. All we have is the sample size of 1,000. So let's look at margin of error in a sample size of 1,000. That's going to give me 0.0316. So that's against 664. So 0.664 added to this is going to give me 0.6956. So I can say that my proportion between 0.6956 based on 1,000 people, and on the other side of that, if I use my calculator, I'm going to get 6324. So I don't need to write H0 again. We had it before. You can rewind the video. H0 and H1. H0 was 70% satisfied. So we can say here 70% is over here outside this interval. So we reject H0. The company don't have enough evidence to say that 70% of people are satisfied. A manager says if we survey 2,000 passengers from June on, we'll have the margin of error. Is he correct? Well, we know he's not correct here because we've got square roots involved. 1 over the square root of 2,000 is equal to 0.022 and 1 over the square root of 1,000 was 0.0316. You can see here we have not halved this guy. Half of this guy would be 0.0158, but we're at 0.022, so 0.022 is not equal to 0.0158, obviously. So we've explained our answer with maths, so no, the manager is not correct. Part F of this question is drawing a scatter plot. You can't draw a scatter plot at this point, it's just x and y. Imagine top is x and bottom is y always. So I'll draw the scatter plot compared to yours. So this is my attempt at a scatter plot with a line of best fit. My correlation coefficient is giving me 0.88 on a calculator. Practice it, do it twice, and we can clearly what they're asking in part 3 is what can we conclude here. We can clearly see here that older people spend more. There's only one younger person that has really spent more than these two, but older people, see these younger people as 0, these are quite young, and then as we get a little bit older we start to spend a little bit more, which does make sense for flying. And then the last part was sketching the line of best fit.